Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, my name is James and you're watching Wonderful World. And I love building vivariums for my reptiles and amphibians to live in. It's a great creative outlet for anyone who loves caring for animals and growing plants. And the animal that you keep in the vivarium is not the only living thing in there. The substrate and the plants are all part of the bioactive system that is life itself. And the plants that live in that bioactive system are a big part of it, and you need to keep them healthy and alive. And to do that, you need light and lots of it. So today I'm going to talk about some of the lights that I use in my vivariums and which ones are my favorite ones. The right lights in your vivarium not only helps keep your plants alive and healthy, but also gives your animals a day-night cycle that they need and helps show off their beautiful colors and patterns to their fullest. So what I'm covering today are lights for your plants. So I'm not talking about heat or UVB lights for your reptiles. The best lights for growing plants are going to be high-powered full-spectrum LEDs. Now, I'm not a scientist, and too much scientific jargon makes my eyes go blank and then I fall asleep. For example, the definition of lumens is a unit of luminous flux in the international system of units that is equal to the amount of light given out through a solid angle by a source of 1 candela intensity radiating equally in all directions. So I'm just going to give you as simple of an explanation as possible of some of the terms and concepts involved with lighting. You may see lights rated by lux or lumens. Lumens is basically just how bright a light is. When you raise or lower a dimmer switch, you're raising and lowering the lumens. Even though some plants are considered shade plants, when grown indoors under artificial light, my experience has been that any plant is going to grow better under a light that has the highest lumens. Take moss, for example. Moss in the wild generally grows in the shade. In the vivarium, though, most of the time that moss dies off is because it's not getting enough light. You can see here that when I planted my bullfrog's paludarium, the moss was green and lush. But the lights I have on this paludarium are not the right lights for growing plants. And now the moss and all the plants are not doing well. I'll eventually change these lights and replant this vivarium, but that will be a subject for a future video. So the best lights for growing plants are going to have the highest lumen or lux or Kelvin rating. Another way light is measured is by its color spectrum, or PAR levels. PAR stands for photosynthetic active radiation, and this is where the term full spectrum comes in. Visible light that we can see is measured in nanometers, and the range of nanometers that the human eye can see goes from 400, which is blue, to 700, which is red. Blue light basically helps plants to grow roots, and red light helps plants grow foliage. The lights that are going to grow plants best are going to include the spectrum of red light up to 650 nanometers. With all that said, when you're looking for vivarium lights, just look for ones that offer 6500 Kelvin and 650 nanometer red light. But I can warn you that these are the more expensive lights. So let's look at some of the different lights I've used and how they've worked out for me. For lighting some of my arboreal enclosures that are mostly 18 inches wide, I've sometimes used less expensive LED aquarium lights made by Nycrew. They do have a brightness level of 6500 Kelvin, but even though there are some red and blue LEDs, the red is not true 650 nanometer. These cost about $30, and I've found that the plants grow all right and they provide an adequate amount of light. This is what they look like in my day geckos and my annuals vivariums. There's no dimmer or programmability, although they do have an option to switch to just blue light to simulate moonlight. It's sometimes nice to view the vivarium at night with the blue lights on, but I definitely don't recommend leaving blue lights on all night. That would be disruptive to any reptile or amphibian's day and night cycle. So I would describe these less expensive lights as adequate but more affordable, but not the best. Definitely the brightest lights I've used and the most effective for growing lush plants has been the Arcadia Jungle Dawn LED bulbs, but they are a little pricey, around $40 per bulb. In my tiger-legged monkey tree frog vivarium, I have two Jungle Dawn LED bulbs in an 18-inch Exoterra hood. It definitely provides full spectrum light as well as 6500 kelvins of brightness. It's really bright and the plants grow like crazy under this light. So much so that I have to trim plants back more often in this vivarium than any others. Moving on to my dart frog vivarium, I would definitely say that my favorite light in the reptile room is this Finex planted CRV LED aquarium light. It is very bright and the full color spectrum it provides is amazing. The plants grow great under this light and it shows off the colors of the plants and the frogs better than any other light I've ever used. What's really nice about this light is that it comes with a remote control that has an array of programmable features. You can create any different combinations of colors and levels of brightness and save those in 4 different memory slots. There is a setting for morning light, and I'll show you that there. There is a setting for overcast light. And there is a setting for moonlight. One of the neatest things about this light is that it comes pre-programmed with a 24/7 program that turns on the light with morning light and then eventually moves to a full light in the midday and then to twilight and then to moonlight at night, and you just set the time and let it go. And there is a demo button that shows that, so I'm going to show you that. And of course, that span of brightness and different color temperatures takes place over a 24-hour period. I love this light, and I'd put one in every one of my vivariums if they weren't so pricey. This 36-inch light costs around $150, and a 20-inch one costs around $100, which is about the same price as two Jungle Dawn bulbs and the Exoterra hood together. Now, I know I said I wasn't going to talk about UVB, but it's worth mentioning a few things about sunlight, because ultimately what we're trying to do for the health of our reptiles and amphibians is mimic the sunlight as much as possible in their enclosures. Pure sunlight includes all of the different waves of light, from the full spectrum of visible light that we've been talking about, as well as infrared A and B, and ultraviolet B that are invisible to our eyes but important for the health of your reptiles. In my ball python's enclosure, I have a deep heat projector for infrared A and B, a UVB light, and full spectrum LEDs. And with that all together, I'm trying to replicate as much as I can what Jerry would get from natural sunlight. So you don't have to have a green thumb to keep healthy and lush plants in your vivarium. It's not difficult to get right. If you have a proper vivarium substrate and you're using the right lights and you're keeping the heat and humidity correct for the species that you're keeping and misting daily, then your plants can't help but thrive. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope you found it useful. If you did, then do me a favor and please consider subscribing to the channel. And as always, until the next video, I look forward to seeing you again soon.